Radio Zero.
It's Radio Zero with Rick and Rose. I'm always very surprised to see what I look like. That's what I look. That's not what I think I look like. Did that ever that happened to me once? I was like, it had been a long time. Since I had been home, and I took the bus to Northbrook Court, and I was walking around. I was like, and then as one does in Northbrook Court and the Chicago, the north suburbs of Chicago. So it's kind of like a ritzy type place. It was kind of ritzy back then. And I walked past some wall of mirrors, like broken up mirrors, like by Neiman Marcus, because that's where the bus lets you off. And I just who is the homeless woman? Who let that person in here? And it was like, oh, that's me. Anyway,
you can subscribe to the podcast, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, other streamers. You can go to radiozero.us. We're live streaming on Facebook on the Radio Zero page, the Poster Children page, on Twitch at PCJCUSA, and also on the Poster Children YouTube channel. And you can patronize us at patreon.com/Radio Zero. Thank you for everyone who is currently patronizing us.
And where does the money go, Rick?
Can't that every
buy
time.
Buy us guns? No. Okay. Too soon?
It's always too soon.
Okay. Do you? For those of you who are actually watching this podcast, at the Idea Store, not a sponsor in Urbana, I found this I Heart PC pin for 25 cents. Somebody was getting rid of it, and just the fact that it's rhinestones. It's like the LOVE. It's like the Robert Indiana sort of love formation. There's an I, and then there's a heart, and then PC, as in poster children, I'd imagine. And just the mere existence of this, implies that there are hundreds more, right?
I guess.
What, why? And it's probably not poster children. It's probably poster child, or
it's probably someone's initials, PC, and you can probably get a bunch. You could get one of those made with anyone's initials.
Just put the onions over by where the microwave used to be, by the big butternut squash that I haven't opened for 8 weeks. Okay.
Welcome to the surrealist episode of Radio Zero, where Rose will randomly say things.
Yeah, put the onions by the butternut squash. My sister is
I smell
listening.
toast.
Hi,
I smell
Sarah.
burning toast.
I heart personal computer, Danny Ingram is saying.
And my that was my first thought.
Yeah, personal computer. I didn't think that. Well, I guess could be. My sister just had shoulder surgery, so that goes in the refrigerator. The kale goes in the refrigerator, but it probably won't fit because it's the size of our car. So just leave it out. Well, what do you want to talk? Did we talk last week about everything, everywhere, all at once?
Yes, we've talked about that.
There's not anything left to talk. So I feel like I need to go see that movie again.
All right.
It's like a fine tapestry that I need to go see again. All right, so we don't have to talk about it. Like more discoveries that we had made over the last week, Graham and me. Just like the idea that the bagel is like this black hole with like a eye inside. It's like the opposite of an eyeball, right? Of a googly eye, the bagel.
Interesting.
Yeah, and the fact that, and just also like the fact that the googly eye was such a frivolous thing, but then she goes and puts it on, and like makes it a Nirvana type thing. Sorry for the spoiler alert. Whereas the black hole, or the bagel, which also seems like a very frivolous thing, turns into a black hole, and I think the black hole is like all of your emotions and worries and everything, right? Anyway, okay, so So what do you want to talk about, Rick? There's so many things.
Are there?
Well, all right, so we were actually on the radio this week, right? Was it this week that we were on the radio? It was.
Oh, yeah.
We were on WGLT.
Mm-hmm.
Not a sponsor, but we are a sponsor of WGLT. We are sponsors.
That's right.
Yeah. WGLT is the NPR station here in Bloomington. And Sarah Nardi interviewed us. So there's this TV show called American Idol. That an IDOL, not IDLE, American Idol. Apparently it's been going on for a while, and
20 years.
you vote for somebody who sings pop music, and then they win. And so a woman. How do I say, girl or woman?
I don't know what.
Leah Marlene. Let's just call her Leah. From Bloomington, Illinois. Became one of the top 3 finalists in this. She made it all the way to the top 3. So that means that she was talking to Lionel Richie. Like, which
That's
to
your
me,
takeaway from this.
Yeah, I was like, she's fucking talking to Lionel Richie. That's I know who that is. I don't know the other ones. Katy Perry, what? I don't know that. And who's the other one? Some country guy.
Country bumpkin.
Country
I really
Joe.
disliked him.
Yeah. So, but anyway, she made and I saw a picture of her, and I was like, who is this person? And she's like got this crazy grinny smile, and I was like, she looks cool. Like, I was like, oh, she looks cute, and then I saw like a video of her talking. She's like, she's wacky. And I loved her, and then I was like, okay, I'll listen to a song. And she writes her own music. She's been at this forever. Right? She would stand out like our son, Derry King used to stand out and play his violin out at the Urbana Farmers Market. Leah Marlene would sit outside the Make Music Normal here, I guess, and play her guitar and like have a cup out, and people would put, have I watched Obi-Wan yet? No, I have not, Sarah. So there's no spoilers because I haven't watched it. And I actually... Yeah, we'll talk about Obi-Wan a little bit later. Don't spoil it for me. I'll die. Okay, where was I with Liam Marlene?
I want to make it clear to everyone who's listening to this after the fact is I'm not badly editing this show. These jumps that are happening where in the middle of something it jumps to another thing.
No, I was talking and I saw that there's a message here.
I understand. Go on.
So Leah Marlene. So her voice is adorable. Like it kind of reminded me of beloved Angie Heaton a little bit. Maybe not like, because I always thought that Angie's voice. I think that Angie's voice is the most real voice I'd ever heard. So just hearing Leah Marlene and seeing how wacky she is here, and just And so I was really happy. I was like, oh man, let's look at this. And then I think then our poor school of music director got a message from WGLT saying, hey, is there any professor that teaches music business that could talk about American Idol? Professors here, and Adrian, like the school music director goes, yeah, you should talk to Rose and Rick, and then I was like, I think I was shopping or something. I was like in the store, and I saw this, and I was like, oh my God, because I don't know anything about American Idol, as you all have heard. So it was a good opportunity, though, to like kind of study up. And so then we were going to go and talk to her about what would happen, like if Leah Marlene wins, and what would happen if she loses and stuff. And then but then last Sunday was so we were going to talk to. Talk on the radio on Friday, and then the host just said, well, why don't you come on Monday, because then we'll know.
Yeah.
So we had to, Sarah's like, it's a huge show, and she lives in England, so.
Yeah, no, it's.
My sister who lives in England knows about American Idol. I know it's a huge show. It's
based off of
Lionel Richie. Oh, it's based off of a show from England.
Yeah.
Go on, why don't you talk for a while? People want to hear you.
I don't think so.
I think so.
Well, no, the reason why I didn't like the country guy was because he called her weird, I think.
Fuck him. Fuck him.
She didn't seem that weird. She seemed like a musician, like someone who, yeah, like
But
I guess
she's-
that's weird. That was my
Yes,
problem.
yes.
Is this idea that like, oh, this is a thing for normal people. Like if
Exactly.
like to me, I think of musicians as being, different,
Alive.
right?
Alive. Not
Right.
robots.
Yeah, not being normal,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Role models. They're creative people and they're interesting and they.
You know what? Let's call them robots. Because you've said that. You've used that word before to describe, I think, like let's call people who are not quirky robots.
And that's not to say these other contestants weren't, interesting people, but wanting, that type of contest, it seems like at least the result was that they wanted somebody who was normal, right? Or even more mainstream.
Yeah.
I didn't think Leah Marlene was like a counterculture freak. She just seemed like a singer with a personality. I mean, if you think of, I don't know, like any kind of great famous singers, they, like Madonna, right? Somebody like that, right? There's something weird about them too, though, right? They're not 100% normal.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So so we had to watch American Idol. So we're watching it. And, they're like, pretty soon we will eliminate one of the three. And we were like, oh, no. And then we had to sit and listen to them, all three of them sing Bruce Springsteen songs, right? And Leah Marlene went first, which already should have told us that she wasn't going to win, right? Because they had her go first. I already knew. I was like, oh, they're having her go first. Because, whoever's last is probably going to win. Who went last? Was it the asshole? I can't remember.
The
lovely guy
who won.
The lovely guy who won. Anyway,
the guy who looks like a Jonas Brothers. So that was the problem
yeah.
too. Is like I know very little about popular culture. I am watching Saturday Night Live because
I'm
a
lot.
The father of a 13-year-old, and so I watch Saturday Night Live again, and then I do crossword puzzles. So I know that the Jonas. I have the.
When you say crossword, you do the New York Times crossword
right, yeah.
puzzle.
So there'll be
not
like
crossword puzzles, not like the ones you get at the Jewel.
Blank Brothers.
Fill in,
and then I know the Jonas Brothers, and it was
That's
like, oh,
great.
okay, this guy looks like one of the Jonas Brothers, and that to me was kind of disappointing. Where it was like, oh, okay, this guy, it's not even that he's normal. It's like he looks like other people, other musicians who are popular already.
Yeah, he already has the look. It's already.
And they even talked about it on the show. And I'm just like, oh man, this is even worse.
Gross. Yeah.
I've never watched this show before, and then watching it. Well, first off, finding out that finale was going to be 3 hours long. That was like,
we were like, what?
Like
and
a
then I was like,
to my heart, where it was like, oh my god, really?
Well, maybe she'll get
3 hours of
eliminated
this?
in the first round, and then we won't have to watch the rest. And Rick's like, yeah. But so she chose a Bruce. They had to choose Bruce Springsteen songs, and she chose one that I'd never heard of. Of course, I haven't heard most Bruce Springsteen.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Is I think all 3 songs that they did were from Born in the USA. So like,
yeah, but
Cover
she didn't do Born in the USA.
Right.
Like nobody did that. Maybe it's hard to sing, but she did a song that is more obscure than the other ones did. Right. And I thought, well, that's because she's trying to be cool, she's, and that's not. And then they dinged her for that. They're like, you chose an obscure one. And at this point, name recognition is really where it's all at, man. Like recognition is where, that they're giving her advice. You need to be a robot. You need to look like a fucking Jonas brother, or you need to be a robot.
She sang Cover Me, which is the second single off of Born in the USA.
Well, I never heard it.
Did it chart? Let's see what did it chart. That's about the stupidest question.
She sang some kind of Katy Perry. She sang a Katy Perry song with Katy Perry later.
I guess Cover Me was only number 7.
Yeah, that's why I don't know what it is. Anyway, she did that.
Dancing in the Dark, of course, must have been number 1, right?
I don't know. I thought Born in the USA was number 1.
Well, yeah, that was. But Dancing in the Dark, where did that chart?
The other thing is that she came out in this beautiful blue pantsuit.
Well, it only got to number 2.
She wasn't dressed like a, like scantily clad or anything like that. She had this beautiful blue pantsuit, but she looked a little bit like Hillary Clinton.
Do you know what kept Dancing in the Dark from number 1?
I'm sure it's another band's song.
The Reflex and When
Okay.
Doves Cry were both
And that
both
was
prevented Dancing
Yeah.
in the Dark. But Born in the USA must have gone number 1, right? So Cover Me came out. It was the second single. Born
you
in the
could be
USA
Leah Marlene's
was
manager.
the single after that.
So we're watching. They're like, boom, now we're going to eliminate one of the contestants. And then Rick's going, well, why do they have to eliminate one? Why don't they just say who's the winner?
I knew
you
why
know?
they had to do that.
I know. We know too. But you were like, that's not very nice. And then they're like, and like it gets all dark, and they're like, the one contestant that we're gonna throw out is, and before they they say anything, and Rick just go and like we're both really quiet, and like my stomach dropped to my tussie, and Rick just goes, this isn't good for anybody. This isn't good for music. This is just terrible, And then they eliminated our beautiful town, Leah Marlene. And the other thing, this is what I wanted to say too. When she sang her song, right?
Yeah.
I cried at the end. And so did she. She cried at the end because it was about like she had a rough time over the past 2 years, and it was about that. But the other girl, who she's like, she's saying nice things about her on her social media and stuff too. The other girl like works with veterans, and makes them happy. And then the Jonas brother, what does he do? He has a son that he can't go home to because he's really got to pursue his path. His like a toddler son. How
is that?
Yeah, that
okay.
was his hook. And Leah Marlene's hook was just that she's she's weird. Is that what the guy said? Fuck him. anyway, she didn't win. So we went on Monday to talk at the NPR station. We were I'm like trying not to say, well, fuck everybody else. Fucking American Idol sucks. You were very good in the interview.
Thank you.
I pulled out the David Foster Wallace quote though, because he's from here too, right? Okay, let's move on. I started following her on social media, and she's like she'll like laugh and like say wonderful things and stuff. She's just really just like seems like a sweetheart.
Yeah, I think out of everybody of the few people I saw that were on the show, she seemed to be the one who's the most likely to have a career.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That beyond
Yeah.
American Idol. And so it gives her some publicity, and then she can continue to make music and hopefully,
But okay, speaking of making music, here was the thing though. Here's the thing. We were like me, not you, but me. I was like kind of horrified because I heard that she's supposed to play Make Music Normal, right? So Make Music Normal is our little town like music festival. And so Salaryman is playing Make Music Normal. We're headlining on Saturday. Why we're headlining is beyond me. Probably just because, like out of all the bands, probably we toured the most in Europe and stuff like that, right? It's local bands, right? It's mostly local bands. So that's why we're headlining, and it's late at night, and we won't offend anybody or something. People really want to stick around, they can, and hear the weird electronic music. But I had heard that Leah Marlene was going to play, and then I was like, oh, she's
I told you.
Yeah, you told me. Okay, so like I'm trying not to speak for you, but like I was like horrified and I was terrified because I'm like, okay, so what's going to happen? Is the American Idol finalist going to play after us? Because her fans are going to be there then, and they're going to be like, what the hell? It's going to be like when we open for Public Enemy. What the hell is this? Get these people off of here. They're going to hate us. They're going to, like, her fans are going to be like, what is this shit? Or she going to play before us, where then her fans will stick around to be like, more Leah. And then she'll have to leave because it's our turn, and it'll be like Prong. Was it going to be Public Enemy or Prong? That's, and so I was like, oh my God, what's going to happen? But it turns out that like if she's going to play, she probably won't, right? Because she just played a hometown concert
for the show.
So yeah, she's going to open for Dan Hubbard, whoever that is.
No, she's not doing that show. That's for sure. That
But
show's not happening.
oh, I thought she was supposed to open
No,
for
that's
Dan
incorrect.
Hubbard
At a different show in
No.
Bloomington.
Oh, I thought
All
that
right.
was for Make
Maybe
Music
I'm
Normal.
wrong.
I thought she
Nope.
was supposed to play before. No,
Nope.
okay.
But maybe
Well,
I'm
we're
wrong.
still finding out from American Idol whether or not you're not. I'm sure you're not wrong. You're never wrong.
Well, no, it's just there's a show. There was a different show in Bloomington. So there's a
Yeah.
normal show and a Bloomington show. And so the one with her opening was the Bloomington show. The Make Music Normal show is unconfirmed as of this hour, or as of this point, or as of this yesterday.
And we were kind of like ruminating about like what kinds of things in what ways she's still beholden to American Idol.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, I don't think even if you're a finalist, I believe, because there have been plenty of people who weren't the winner who have gone on to get recording careers, like Jennifer Hudson, right? She was 7th place, and I'm sure they got a piece of that. I mean, they're not going to whatever contract you sign with the producers or the production company is I'm sure you're tied at least for maybe forever. There might be a percentage.
Like, can they tell you that you can't play certain shows and stuff?
Sure. Well, there can be. I'm sure they could. Yeah, there can be restrictions on how you. Whether or not you use the name. Say finalist of American Idol, and I'm sure there's all sorts of things like that.
Like anytime her name is mentioned, probably it has to say like American Idol finalist Leah Marlene, and then if you're going to have that, then you can't. Yeah.
I'm sure there are a large number of contractual restrictions and a percentage of income based, for upcoming record. Probably.
Oh yeah,
record
yeah,
deals.
Well, yeah. Sure, I would hope. I would hope. Otherwise, American Idol would require our assistance. We could tell them, how much they should take. You guys need to take a cut out of the performances. Guys doing that? Guys got a cut of the.
So
much?
not to go off on a tangent, but how all these old 80-year-old musicians are selling off their catalogs, right? And that's. And so part of that is, you might think, they're going to die and they're not going to make the money anymore, so they're selling it off. But it's because, traditionally in the past, it was like, and in fact, there was an episode of Atlanta where it was like, do you own your masters, right? And if you don't own your masters own you, which is a Prince quote, right? And so there's a little bit of a whole little sub theme about the artist. He's, worried that he's getting ripped off because he doesn't own his masters, which is important. But the reason why that was important was because that was the way, if you owned your songs, right, and you owned the publishing, you'd make money in the future, right? And so that's true. That's the reason why all these old musicians are rich. However, and so in theory, if it was still valuable as a source of income, right, directly, you would leave your publishing to your family, right, or an estate, right, because it would still be rolling in the money. But what's happening now is these old guys are selling off their catalogs, right, and cashing out now. And there's, people buying, what is it? Like, well, Neil Young sold off half, right, and Bob Dylan just sold off his
Can you sell
catalog.
off your entire publishing, like all of it? Or do you still have, like, does half of it still go to you?
You can sell off the publishing, you can't the songwriting, right?
That's what I mean, like the songwriting, like that
Songwriting.
half.
Right, yeah.
Can you sell off that half of that half? Like,
I can't remember. But like, for instance, the Beach Boys, right? They are unable to sell off their publishing because Brian Wilson's father, who owned the publishing company, sold it all off in 1970 for a couple $100,000 because he wisely thought, as the wise man he was, he thought they weren't going to their career was over and there wasn't any money. And so that's why specifically, right? So the Beach Boys, like Brian Wilson, isn't able to do this big cash in, but what the Beach Boys did is they just cashed in. What was it? Irving Azoff has got a company, so they sold ownership of the Beach Boys brand. So, for instance, in the future, if somebody wants to create 100 years from now a Beach Boys restaurant chain, right? That company owns the rights to do that, right? So they were able to sell that off. They weren't able to sell off their publishing because Murray Wilson sold it off stupidly or selfishly sold it off in 1970, right before the, the big money.
So who just sold off their?
So, okay, so this is the thing. This is where I was getting is Justin Timberlake is going to sell off his music. So Justin Timberlake, I believe, is younger than us, right? And so that to me is pure evidence that there is no money in music anymore, right? There's only money in catalog, and on top of it, being an aggregator, right? So having streaming, so there's no money in streaming, right, for an individual artist. And for Justin Timberlake, did the math is like, well, for the next 40 years, how much money am I going to make from streaming? I'm not going to make any more money. I'm not going to stream millions of records, probably new records, right? And this old stuff, is going to stream. But if he starts doing the math, it's like, oh, you know what? You know what's better is I just sell it now. And so that's what's interesting now is that the young artist, what is Justin Timberlake, still in his 30s, probably, right?
Probably.
Is already selling off his catalog, the songs that he has.
Maybe he needs money for something.
I don't think so. I mean, maybe he does, but it doesn't matter if he needs money. So the thing is that if your advice is, well, hold on to your publishing because publishing is gold, right? That's always been the rule in the music business for the past 40 years. It's like we have our publishing, right? We're not making a lot of money off of it, but we didn't sell off our publishing to a publishing company. We kept it, and we get that income. And now, as we, well, at least as I know, that the streaming revenue that comes in is microscopic compared to the well, I shouldn't use the nano. Yeah, is like the revenue we were getting was microscopic from like CD sales and online download sales, and now the streaming is like a nano scale, and so. It's just a sign that there is no money in music as an individual performer, songwriter, composition. And so that's what interested me too about this Leah Marlene stuff is like, okay, it's if she can, establish herself as a artist and a career musician and a live performer and everything like that, it's not at all about the records. I mean, I guess that's obvious, but streaming is almost worthless.
Yeah.
And Justin Timberlake proves that, I think.
So you think that she'll be playing shows, like she'll be playing giant, amphitheaters and stuff?
No, I don't know, but I know that if you want to make money, live performance is about all that's left.
Is that about
and placement in movies and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Television, but even that, right? It's, that's about to end, right? The peak television, right? Now that the streamers, that's that kind of ecosystem.
When you say placement in television, what do you mean?
Means getting a song in a TV show.
Oh, okay. So
right?
your song gets played.
Yeah, and you get paid for that.
Yeah. Will we ever hear a PC song in a TV commercial? April is asking.
My guess is no, and it's not necessarily because we're upstanding artists. It's because our music doesn't resonate with a large enough demographic.
Our music doesn't make people want to
money.
spend money. When people hear our music,
it's possible.
Yeah.
I guess if somebody hears, for some reason digs up a 30-year-old song and decides it would be good for a commercial, I guess that's possible.
Adidas would like to buy your If You CK song. Well, Hum got a commercial, right? What was it? Cadillac commercial. That's pretty good. Yeah. We've turned down stuff that we were supposed to play at a Dockers performance or something and get paid some huge amount of money. We just turned that down because we were punks.
That's ancient, but
yeah. We have music, like some of our songs are in movies, right? We turned down a couple of movies, but we said
Tommy
yes.
Boy. We said no to Tommy Boy.
Yeah.
Which is probably a mistake because somebody, again, actually through Patreon, messaged and said, oh, just heard you guys on Scooby-Doo. My kids were watching a Scooby-Doo DVD, and your song came on. So
We're in like Empire Records or
Empire
something.
Records. That's
I
our,
can't remember
and
what
that's actually, I think on Spotify, that song that's in Empire Records is the top song.
So yeah, so had we said
For us.
yes to Danny Boy,
Tommy Boy.
Danny Boy too.
And so the problem with that is that Chris Farley actually was at a show in Madison at the what's the outdoor thing called?
Oh, the Terrace.
The Terrace. Yeah, Chris Farley was there and liked us, and then asked, "Oh, there should be a poster children song in my new movie." And then we were like, "Okay, can we see the movie?" And then they were like, "No." And then we said, "Nah."
We're such punks. Danny Ingram writes, I was in a band in the late 80s that caught the eye of Kim Fowley. He tried to sign us
I was just
To-
reading about
to a-
Kim Fowley again.
to a deal that gave him the lion's share of publishing.
Yeah.
When I said no, he said, I have a gun and I know where you live.
Great. Nice to know that everything I've heard about Kim Fowley is confirmed by a firsthand account.
Tim Bowers saying, Sarah, my sister earlier said Simon Cowell. She loves the shows. Tim Bowers says, stream RTFM and hello, greetings from London. He's in London now. And new boyfriend for a woman's deodorant. That's a good idea. Okay. Yeah. Send your... Larry wants to know, are we going to watch the Sex Pistols miniseries on FX?
Yeah, I'm anxiously awaiting my opportunity to hate it. No,
Well, that's the
I'm
thing that
excited about it.
You're waiting to hate the Elvis movie too.
Oh, I'm just really upset that I'm going to have to go watch it. I'm just like, I can't believe I'm going to have to hate this movie and watch it. Watch this movie. It's like and I haven't seen
why do you think you're going to hate it?
I don't preconceived. I'm again.
What's going to go wrong? What's going to go wrong?
Why did I not watch American Idol until last Sunday? It's because I know myself and I know popular
No, but
culture.
you know who's going to win. It's going to be Elvis that wins in the Elvis movie, and then he's going to die.
Let me explain to you.
Yes.
So I have not seen a Baz Luhrmann film, but I know what Baz Luhrmann films are, and they are. Would you call them postmodern? So they are musical, but then like they'll have like a rock song in 1890s France.
Oh yeah, you're
or
gonna hate
there
it.
will be like an industrial song version of an Elvis song to portray how powerful he was when he first arrived on the scene, as opposed to, actually trying to represent what happened and somehow capture the actual sort of moment and cultural moment. Oh, I'm going to use modern conventions, and I'm an open-minded person
so
about artistic expression and
but not in this case. So when we watch Goodfellas, like halfway through the movie, Rick has to be given a sedative because there's a scene that opens with some song that
Sunshine of Your Love, frickin' Robert De Niro walking into that bar in 1969, 1970 to Sunshine of Your Love, which
wouldn't have been out yet.
No, it was
a couple of years,
but it wouldn't have
what?
been on the jukebox, right? It just doesn't make sense to me.
Wait, so why
and
would
they're also, it's like, oh, I'm going
Was
to
it
plop in
on-
this song from 1974 in a 1979 scene, or vice versa. It's all that stuff.
Yeah, so that's why I'm thinking you're not going to. Well, now at least you know that. What's the name? Baz Luhrmann.
Yeah.
Baz.
Baz.
As since you know that he plays with this type of thing, he plays fast and easy with soundtracks. Is that what happens? Then you can just figure that that's going to happen, and you're going to watch it. You probably like it because you're.
It'll be
waiting to
okay.
hate
I'll
it.
be okay. I'll think of it in terms of Ken Russell again. It's like, it's like a Ken Russell movie, and I'll just, as long as I can think in terms of that, it'll be fine.
Larry says, I like the idea that the Elvis movie will be told through the eyes of Colonel Tom Parker.
Yeah, that's amazing. Frickin' Colonel Tom Parker,
Yeah.
who is not an American, right? What is it? I'm trying to remember the details, but they're people are pretty sure that he killed someone, murdered someone, and then sort of illegally came to the United States. This is definitely like a very strange person. And then, yeah, as a colonel, like in the same way Colonel Sanders was a colonel, a Kentucky colonel, right? Not a military guy. But yeah.
And Danny says the Elvis trailer is perhaps the worst thing he's ever seen.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just like, oh. And well, so the thing is that I can watch, like, when was it? It was like when I saw the trailer. This is, again, ancient history, but like, what was it, 30 years ago, the Tim Burton Planet of the Apes movie. And it was like, I saw the trailer and I was like, okay, I'm not going to watch that. I don't need to see that movie. I already know, no matter what, or any Tim Burton remake, right, of any IP remake, right? Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. You know, it's just like, oh, I don't need to watch this. I don't need to watch it. Whereas when I saw the Elvis trailer, I was like, that was why I was angry, was because I'm going to need to see this, and I'm going to be angry the whole time I'm watching it. And so that's the problem. It's not, so it's like, it's about being held captive, right? You know, it's like I
could be mad about having to watch the Doctor Strange movie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
because that was really bad.
Similar to being, you know, going through the Stockholm syndrome with Marvel movies, right? Which most of our culture, most of you probably listening also are still, you know, experiencing Stockholm syndrome with the Marvel universe, right? And I'm over here saying, you know what? I think you maybe need to rethink this relationship you have with the Marvel cinematic universe.
I don't have to rethink that.
Earth.
I've got a lot invested in the MCU.
Exactly.
This is what Larry says. Colonel Rick Valentin has a nice ring to it. If you guys
got to move to Kentucky.
So right? if you guys, Lars Nielsen
also
says,
just to go on record, also I believe, and I need to read a good Colonel Tom Parker biography, but he was taking 50%.
Yeah, you've always told me that.
Yeah, 50%, 50-50 with Elvis, which is insane.
Lars is saying, did we talk about Obi-Wan? We have not, and he wrote it solid. If anybody else writes anything in the comments about Obi-Wan, it's going to be like the Sisters of Mercy concert when somebody ran up into the fog and hugged what's his name? Andrew Eldridge. They got off. The show ended and he walked off the stage. That was it.
Well, no. Let's be more specific, because it was better than that. It was one of the great moments, life moments I've seen, where they were about 30 minutes into the show. Lots smoke machines.
You couldn't see them at all, like just black and leather.
Lots of smoke. You could kind of see them. You could see the drum machine. I think. Well, they had a live drummer too, but you could see lights and stuff. Well, that's Jesus and Mary Chain.
Fuck. Sorry.
So,
okay.
Do you want to tell that story?
No.
Okay. But then what happened was lots of smoke, right? And then a woman jumped up on stage, grabbed Andrew Eldridge around the neck, and then he kind of stumbled backwards into the fog, and then the music kind of slowly disintegrated, and the band, and then the fog dissipated, and the band was gone, and the show was over. It was amazing.
Wait, so that was the Sisters of Mercy.
Yes.
What song do they have?
Mary Ann.
Oh, right.
Probably would have been around. This would have been before
Across the Water. Yeah.
First and Last and Always tour.
Yeah. First and Last and Always. Okay, so what happened?
It would have been before the what was the record after that had the bigger songs on it. Anyways,
what happened to the Sisters of Mercy concert then?
That was what happened.
Okay, what happened? What was the other one?
Jesus and Mary Chain.
Jesus and Mary Chain. What happened?
We didn't see that. Jim, my brother, saw Jesus and Mary Chain, and it was that first Jesus and Mary Chain tour, and they actually got, I think he said, 20 minutes. So that was a tour where they would play, and there were times when they played like 10 minutes. And I think in Chicago, the show he saw, they made it 20 minutes in before they walked off the stage.
We're tired. They're probably tired.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to the Pistols doc. I'm really ticked off because there's so much promotion going on, and
I don't know anything.
It's not out until the 31st. So I was thinking, it's out today because it's Friday.
Oh, May 31st.
Yeah, I've got to wait another couple of days.
That's because I have to watch Obi-Wan, and there's something
Yeah.
else that has.
It's directed by Danny Boyle, so it'll be. I'm optimistic, and because John Lydon is tearing it to pieces publicly too, it's got to be good, right?
Well,
Not that he's seen it, right? He's suing because it's supposedly based off of Steve Jones' autobiography, but it's basically just a Sex Pistols movie, right, or series, right?
why do you want to watch that?
Oh, it'll be interesting. Well, again, it's entirely
You have
possible.
to.
Like I said, I'm looking forward to hating it. You know, it's like that's wrong. That's not right.
Okay.
And if you're, another little music trivia is the Clash, the reissue or the expanded version of Combat Rock. So not quite Rat Patrol from Fort Bragg. Is that what it was called? The original. So what's amazing about Combat Rock is that, right, it was a double album set that Mick Jones had mixed. You can find bootlegs. And then there was someone basically said, you can't, this can't be the new record. And then Glyn Johns chopped it up and made it into a single record, which is great. I like the single record, but the Rat Patrol from Fort Bragg is a really interesting variation on it, to hear what a double, it was basically another Sandinista, right? Lots of stuff, right?
Oh,
Lots of
I
crazy
gotta listen
stuff.
to that then. Yeah.
But the new thing where they have kind of a second disc or whatever, it's on streaming, but yeah, where they have the original or the Combat Rock sort of remaster, but then they have extra songs and variations. It's interesting. But I'm very angry because I didn't buy. I didn't realize that the thing that Mick Jones was using on that record was it wasn't the type of guitar synthesizer. I should have known about this guitar synthesizer that he used. I should have known about it 20 years ago and bought it then, because now it's too expensive. When I should have bought it when I bought my other guitar synthesizer stuff, that nobody wanted in the 90s because, that's not cool. That's not grunge. I
Yeah.
don't want a guitar synthesizer. I don't want to sound like Adrian Belew. And then it's like, oh, crap. Adrian Belew also played this thing that Mick Jones played, and I'm really mad that I didn't
Messed
buy
up.
one. Yeah.
Maybe there's one like on eBay or something.
There are. There are
That
plenty on
maybe-
eBay
well,
that I do not want to spend
Maybe
money on.
maybe there's a misspelled one. No, people will just find them, right? Maybe somebody misspelled it. You can find like a misspelled one, or you can find one at a garage sale or something.
Those days are over.
Larry writes that Stranger Things season 4 also came out this weekend. So
Oh, yeah.
now that's why Derry King and Queen didn't go to their
Are they watching
graduation
it?
rehearsal. They're probably watching it. It was so sad. They're like they're not like Derry King was our child was very loved the first and second seasons of it. I'm not sure if they liked the third or not. And now since he's old, he's like, yeah, we have to watch it. But it's the same as what you're talking about. It's like,
Yeah.
we're going to have to watch it, but I don't know if I'm going to like it or not, But I am going, did we ever cross paths with Depeche Mode?
No.
No, I don't think so. We played with some limey band. What band was it that we played with? That they were English. I know we played with good ones too, but the one that we played with that had like.
Oh, Ned's Atomic Dustbin? Is that who you're talking about?
No,
we
we
played
played
with
with
them.
some band, and they were just standing on the stage after they finished. And I was like, this guy is like as dumb as a rock. What's the matter with this guy? And then it turned out he was like high. He was like on some kind of drug.
Boy, I'd love to know what band that was.
I don't remember what band that was.
I saw Depeche Mode in high school.
So Rick did cross paths.
I
with
did
them.
not
Did
see
you-
the
at
epic.
your high school. Did
so
they
there's
play at
no.
your high school?
So that's
Okay.
the thing is there's the legendary Metro show in 1980, I believe, with Ministry. I saw. Was it the Metro? I think it wasn't the Metro. It was another one of those, but I don't think it was the Aragon. It wasn't the Aragon yet, but it was like when Everything Counts, that EP, People Are People, came out, the U.S. thing, and then they had the reel-to-reel. So it was when they still had the reel-to-reel playing backing tracks, and they were playing along. So I definitely, but I did not see them when they became a super band, but I definitely got to see, and I'm trying to remember if, I don't think Ministry played that show. Ministry opened for Psychedelic Furs. I remember seeing one of the early Ministry shows right after the band quit when they were making that transition. So it was like the dark times of Ministry when they had done the Arista record, the synth pop record, and then everybody quit the band, and then it was right as the shift to industrial was happening, but they were still playing their kind of synth pop songs. So it was but I think that was with Psychedelic Furs. It wasn't the super cool show. So there's a super cool show in 1980 that I did not see in Chicago. I thought I did.
Larry's saying, wasn't there supposed to be a Gigi Allen biopic with Christian Bale?
Who would want to watch it though? Like, how? Yeah, I mean,
you'd watch that.
Yeah, and that's again
by Taika Waititi.
Why make it? Right? If it's something that I would like, this is the thing.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah.
If I like it,
then no one else will.
Yeah. Why would it?
What types of things do you like though that other people like?
Boy, I don't know.
You didn't even like Everything Everywhere All at Once.
I mean, I liked it. I just didn't feel like it was. I liked it. I understand what it is. It's the new Matrix. So I'm doing a preemptive thing and saying, oh, it's great. Right? Just like the Matrix is great. But it was just kind of like the first time I saw the Matrix, I was just like, okay. This is okay, goth. We're all brains in vats movie, right? And it's like I feel like I had seen that already.
That was like,
or different combinations of it, and so the same thing with Everything Everywhere All at Once. I've already talked about this.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
But I understand why it's good. It's a synthesis of all those things, and it's going to bring those things into the mainstream.
I don't even like. To me, it's a movie with like a woman who's in her 50s, like. That's on the screen, and she's the main character, and I can't believe that I'm watching that. That's all. Yeah. Joe Summerall says, haven't been able to tune in lately. Have you talked about the Weird Al movie while we're at it?
No.
We haven't talked about it.
I'm not a super, so he
came to one of our shows.
That's right.
Rick seems like a pro Eraserhead type of guy.
I do like Eraserhead.
Oh shoot! I just turned.
It upsets
Pinterest.
me though, but yeah, I haven't watched it in a long time. But definitely.
No, yeah.
Eraserhead.
Got the no, yeah. All right.
Weird Al. So for me, yeah, I remember hearing. I remember hearing Weird Al on Dr. Demento.
When he was at our show.
It was like here's a young fella who recorded this song in the bathroom at USC or wherever, that legend. And it was like, yeah, that's true. It was like he just made tapes for Dr. Demento. And so for me, I understand that Weird Al is this. So I'm a little older. So for me, Weird Al isn't like the Goonies or whatever, right? So, but I respect him, and I think it's great, and it's an amazing career. But it's not. I'm not a Weird Al fanatic.
His curl pattern is curlier than mine.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's an interesting curl pattern. You don't see that a lot. Okay. Well, I have shooting, facial recognition / bathroom tickers, and I have to make a promo video for my band. Those are like the things that I am most worried about that I have written down for Radio Zero to talk about. I took a work ISU provides like these amazing workshops for professors to teach us how to teach better. And one of the ones I took was about Adobe Creative Cloud, because it's available to all of our students. Not a sponsor, but yeah, not a sponsor. We pay for that. But so I learned like Adobe XD, like, in the space of like 6 hours. This poor guy had to teach us all Adobe XD and Adobe, which is like a prototyping, like a iPhone prototype, or not iPhone, sorry, phone prototyping thing, like an app prototyping thing. right? Where you can make a little picture, it'll give you like a template. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. It'll give you a template where you can design your own app, kind of like what it's going to look like, and then you can make little lines like Max MSP that go to, if they click here, it will go here, and then it'll run on your phone, right? Is that what Adobe XD is for?
Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I've used it in class just to do web page mockups, but yeah.
Yeah,
you can definitely do
apps, app mockups.
Prototyping, yeah.
Prototyping, yeah.
So.
Yeah. So, and then Premiere Rush, which I think is free. I don't know, like some kind of web-based Adobe editor products. So,
how much are we getting for this sponsorship?
No, we're so well, I'm getting paid to teach. But where was I going with all this? Oh, and Adobe Portfolio and stuff like that. Where was I going with all this? And so in order to finish the thing, and I'm sitting in a workshop with like communication professors who are like half my age, who have never used Adobe products before, or they're like, that's not what they teach. Like, we teach this stuff, but they don't. And it's kind of like, hey, well, if you're going to make for instance, if you're trying to make a journalism report about something, here you could use Adobe Premiere Rush to interview 10 people and slap it together in a movie format, just out of nowhere, like boom, it'll work really fast for them. So it's really useful for them. But for me, I've been using, for me, there's always the question, like, do we want our students to use these shortcuts, because we're teaching them, how to actually do stuff too. So that's kind of a problem. But in order to complete the workshop and get my payment for it, I have to make something like using an Adobe product. And it's been a long time since I've made stuff. And I'm like sitting there, I'm like telling the facilitator, like, I made enhanced CDs. I did, like, I'm trying to like rest on my laurels, and I made all this other stuff back in the day. So probably I don't have to do any of this stuff for your class, right? And he's like, all he gets out of this is you're in a band? You should make a promo video for your band. And there's nothing good can happen to this, because like this is the thing where like and I don't know if Danny's still listening to this. This happens to you, like, oh, you're at work, somebody finds out you're in a band. Oh, you're in a band? My brother's in a band. They play Beatles songs. What do you play? Right? Like, have you ever played out? Like, what, I'm so excited. When's your next concert? I'll come. Like, let me know when your next show is and I'm going to come to it. Oh, oops, I didn't make it. When's your next show? Like, you never, like, it's over. You're not going to talk to people at work about your band, right? So nothing good could come of this, because
why'd you bring it up then?
Because I was trying to get out of being creative.
So this is your punishment, trying to use the band to get out of work.
I'm trying to use my work for the band that I did. Like, I did work for the band. I did stuff. So now I'm thinking, and then you're like, Rick's like, well, do a Salaryman promotional video. Notice that I haven't made any promotional videos, like, in like maybe ever.
Well, what?
And my website just says "Hello World" on it.
Yeah, well, make a website.
No, I don't want to do any of this stuff. But how?
Okay, so the problem is not that someone doesn't understand how important a musician you are. It's that you don't want to. I guess that is the problem, because if you were important enough, they'd say, like, if you were David Bowie, they'd first be shocked that you were alive, but then they would say, well, oh yeah, David Bowie doesn't have to do this.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to.
Yeah. Oh, you already
do a final project for the
stuff.
class.
Yeah,
we'll just give you $300.
Yeah. I already did this. I shouldn't have to do it again.
Privilege.
Uh-huh.
It's not privilege, because you're going to have to do the work.
You see, Danny says I never tell work people about band life. I don't either. Yeah, so if I do have to do a promotional video about my band, though, what if I just do not my band? What if I pretend I'm in a band? This band is called Silverfish. No, there's a Silverfish band. This band is called Copyright. And then people are like, wow, is that really I could do that, right? I could be like, I could make a promotional video for like a band that doesn't exist that I'm in. And then people will be like, wow, is that really your band? And I'll be like, no, I just made it up.
Wow, that's really good. You know what? We're having another workshop and we need to have a musician play. Can you play that? It would just, snowball into it's definitely sitcom stuff here. Right, you'd make up a pretend band, and then all of a sudden,
and the
you'd
other
have
thing,
to perform.
So I don't even know what the kids are looking at these days. All I know, like I go upstairs, like what should a promotional video look like? There's got to be a look for it.
Well, that's the thing is with these, not to be a shill.
Be a shill.
But I mean, that's the whole point is that you put this stuff together with the templates, and you don't need to know anything. You just plug in.
It does actually. They're like, tell your message here. There was. The Adobe Rush, I think it said it was like life story video for like 5-minute life story video, and it's like
drop a bunch of pictures here, and then blah,
and then like
wraps it out.
Talk about a time when you were like talk about an obstacle that you faced.
Yeah.
Maybe I should just get over it and just actually do it. Like what if I actually did that?
Yeah.
That's
usually the solution to a problem when it's like, I don't want to do work. Why are you making me do work? Why am I getting paid? Why do you're gonna?
It's
have
really
to
funny.
Work
this is really,
to get paid.
I shouldn't say this, but like the earlier cohort, like we're supposed to be teaching in some way where we are forcing the students to use the Adobe.
Creative
Suite, right?
Creative Cloud.
So what ended up happening was that like XD was the last thing they taught in the cohort, like 6 hours of Adobe stuff, and the last thing they spent like a little bit of time teaching XD. And so I guess like most of the professors, what they did was they just redid their syllabus in XD.
Wow, that's. Oh, that would be so depressing.
And they were like, but we want you to teach. You're not going to teach your students how to make a syllabus in XD. That's not why did you do that? So they just didn't communicate their intention well enough. But it's pretty funny.
Well, what else are you going to do? Right, you're a college professor. What else do you make besides syllabi?
See,
right?
now I'm like, all right. So Larry is saying, you mentioned Goodfellas earlier, and why do we mention that? Why did I mention it? And he says we say goodbye to Ray Liotta. Also said this is kind of what happened with Milli Vanilli, a made-up singing group.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you want to say anything about Ray Liotta?
Something Wild. It's a great movie. And that's it's not his debut, but it is basically like what made his career, I think.
It's what made him in that movie made me never want to watch that movie again. He's so scary.
And I posted it online is the reunion dance where that is the moment where the movie turns, right? So the first half of the movie is like a wacky comedy, right? And then the second.
Did you rewatch it?
No, I just watched that scene again.
Okay,
so they're dancing. The Feelies are playing Fame, and Melanie Griffith and Jeff Daniels are dancing, and then the lights go down, and it gets more noodly. The Feelies are kind of playing this noodly thing, and then all of a sudden Ray Liotta comes by, and then says, "Hey," and then it's like, oh, the whole movie turns after that. It's pretty amazing. Like his presence, just completely flips the movie on its head. It's a really amazing moment. And so that's what I always think about when I think about Ray Liotta is just that he basically killed it that first sort of leading role that he had, and everything after that sort of comes from that moment.
He was good in Goodfellas.
He's good in Goodfellas. He's good in it's so what is it, Copland? So like his you feel so sorry for him too. It's like his not in Something Wild, but the kind of more emotional and I'm worried about Ray Liotta, kind of like tragic. Yeah, he's
we know what
also
happened
good
to
at tragic characters.
He's got those dark eyes.
He doesn't. He has bright blue eyes.
Oh yeah, but like.
But
black
yeah,
hair.
with the
Yeah.
eyelashes. Yeah, yeah,
He's like eyebrows. He's got.
yeah. No, he definitely.
You know what? You know what I just thought of? Just think about all I never tell work people about how I was in a band because they don't understand the depth and the work that has gone into the band and like the fact that it's kind of like like my sister says it's like somebody asking her. Both my sisters played like competitive racket sports in college, and one of my sisters says that like asking her to just hit tennis is like asking a war veteran to play paintball, right? But
Well, it's kind of I always try to touch on this, and I'm still not able to elegantly say it. But when we had that interview about the American Idol thing, where it's like the fantasy or the mythology around being a musician and being in a band is
yeah,
so powerful, and people are so invested in it. And like when you can, like, you'll have moments with people if you start telling them the reality of it. Either they don't want to hear it, they don't believe it, or they think, oh, you're just bitter because you didn't become famous. And
yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
it's just like,
Or
I'm
also
sorry,
they don't.
I'm just telling, it's just like,
Yeah.
I can't explain to you, like, I cannot, like, this thing you've built up in your mind, and people are invested in it too. And I guess it says something about the power of music, is how invested people are in music and the romance of it, right? And the fantasy and everything. And it's like something so powerful to them that if you counter that in any way, it's just really people. And also, teaching music business, right? So in some ways, when you teach a
Yeah.
music business class, it should be called Intro to the Music Business, Killing the Dream, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
kind of really
yeah.
your job is
Yeah.
to ruin
Yeah.
the fantasy, because you bring in people, they talk about their careers, they talk about the hell they've been through, all the things,
Yeah.
and then, how it worked out and how there were ups and downs. And, I remember the one guy, it's just somebody who came through town and was performing. He was like, oh, yeah, no, I've lived in an apartment without running water for 2 years because I've made a commitment that I'm going to be a performer and I'm going to play music. And that's all I'm doing. And it was just like, he's basically saying, I'm basically homeless, except I have a room that I can live in, but I don't have running water or heated. I don't have heat or water that's heated, And the kids are just like,
Yeah.
what? What? Why would you do that? And why does it have to be?
Yeah, there always is when teaching the music industry class. There is always a point where I say, "Hey, you guys don't have to be sad about this. Music is a wonderful thing, And then they cheer
thing.
up and stuff. But
Yeah.
but my point here was that, and somebody else at work tells you that, like, oh, my kid plays basketball, and you're like, pfft. Like maybe there's a whole story there too, Like maybe there's a whole like maybe that's the same as us saying I play in a band, Like maybe what about this? Like every story that anybody has.
Well, yeah,
You don't understand the depths.
There's a problem when like you become entranced by music and all of a sudden you go to the other side and it's like, oh, this is everything. This is all I want to think about and talk about, and it's the most amazing thing in the world, and I want to know everything about it, and I need to tell you about this music I've heard, and it's like once you pass that barrier, you're not a normal person anymore, and you can't talk to normal people because not everybody cares that much about music.
Yeah.
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 And so the problem is that you're an outsider, or not even an outsider. You've gone to the other side. Right.
And then you can't even explain. That's the thing. I remember like sitting like somebody going, "Well, what, you toured?" Yes. And the thing is that they don't hear you either. So like you can say like, "Yes, I toured in the United States and Europe for 20 years." They'll only hear the words like states. They'll be like, then they'll say like, "Wow, that's amazing. So did you ever play out of Illinois?" Like they'll say that next. And then they'll be like,
don't
"What?"
listen.
Yeah, they don't listen to a word you say. So like you're like,
that
okay,
has
I better
nothing to
like
do
be
with
very,
music.
very
That's
careful with, because this is just what happened to me when I was talking to somebody a little earlier today. I was like, okay, I'm going to say 3 sentences about my life, I'm going to sum up this in 3 sentences and you don't want to hear it anyway. And then you're going to get like 2 of the words out of the sentence. And then you're going to ask me another question. And it was like, oh man. All right. Danny Ingram says the problem is most people think American Idol is relevant. They can't relate to anything not in the mainstream. Yeah, and that's what we were like consoling ourselves with, is like why people vote on American Idol, right? And so Leah Marlene did not get the most votes. She also had to go first, so you're not going to get the most votes anyway. More people are going to tune in as it goes on.
Well, yeah, I don't know if that was the problem.
And she was dressed like Hillary Clinton.
But it's like Battle of the Bands. So that was the comparison I made. Is like the people who win, like early days when you're in a band, you do Battle of the Bands, and then you don't win. It's like you realize it's either sour grapes. It's like but I don't think we ever won a battle. The 1 or 2 times we played a Battle of the Bands, it was just like, ooh, this is a mistake.
Played once.
Yeah.
We played a Battle of the Bands one time.
And I believe it was because someone encouraged us to.
That's right. It was very early on our career. It may have been our second show ever.
It was a profound mistake because it was like, we're not playing music that's popular. And it's like, okay, this, the band with people dressed as clowns is going to win, right? Or something like that. Or the band with the woman doing the Janis Joplin covers, right? It's just the way it's going to be, and so you can't, Okay. So you're not gonna, it has nothing to do with what you care about in music. Right.
And that's the thing too, like I'm like telling people, well, what band would you have opened for that I've heard? Fugazi? Wait, Public Enemy. We opened for Public Enemy.
Who?
Yeah. Okay, so facial recognition / bathroom tickers. I don't know if you want to go into the facial recognition thing, but the more I think about this, the bathroom tickers thing. So my new office is going to be in a building where I have to swipe a card to go to the bathroom, which I was like, oh, that's easy. What?
To be clear, it's not that the bathroom. No, it's not that the bathroom has a swipe on it, right? It's that you have to go because it's in the same building as the cybersecurity program, right? In order to get into the area of the building.
Oh, I thought it was a bathroom ticker on the bathroom.
You do not have a swipe on the bathroom itself. It's that you have to swipe to get into that other part of the building.
Never mind.
Well, it's still the same idea. It's like it's going to be obvious if the only reason why Rose Marshak has swiped at this door is, every 3 hours.
No, I might want to do a cybersecurity hack.
Yeah, exactly. So
I have a background in computer science. Well, I was thinking about this though. Okay, so they're going to know I'm not at my desk, right?
That's right.
Because I've swiped and I'm not at my desk. She's not at her desk. Now, like that's the thing with like where you start like somebody went and started buying lotion at Target and then they started sending them like happy baby like stuff, because they figured since. Target
it was like a guy, an older dude was like, why am I all of a sudden getting my Target mailers now are all about, like expecting
diapers,
a baby and diapers and all that kind of stuff. And it turned out that his daughter was pregnant and Target had figured it out, but he didn't know yet.
That's right.
So what it was is the marketing and what she was buying had changed. And so the stuff that was coming to the house was based around her and her,
So this is what I was...
Buying patterns all of a sudden indicated that she was expecting.
God, Janet Tully is listening to this.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, I retract everything I said. No. So here's the thing I was thinking about though. Is that so like this, you're always having the paranoid nightmares, right? What if like
I'm not having
you're not a paranoid guy.
Not.
What if
it's not paranoia if everything you say is correct.
All right, so not talking about ISU
That's
anymore.
Just understanding the way the world works and the way things are going.
Let's say
there's a difference between paranoia and just being prescient or understanding the worst impulses of our culture and society, and just being able to see how technology is going to be in a couple years.
Let's say my female cousin Jethro, who lives in Tennessee, has been buying tampons at CVS, Tennessee CVS, at Higgly Piggly or whatever, wherever has been buying tampons, and then I know I'm going to make this all about abortion, right? And then stops suddenly.
Oh yeah, no, yeah,
And
no,
doesn't stop for 9 months. Stops for like 4 months. And
so
then,
that was the question I was going to say is like
Yeah.
how does let's just pull it back towards the swiping. Like I'm not entirely 100% sure like if someone does a Freedom of Information Act on like wanting to know like
yeah.
people's whereabouts in the building, you know, whether or not I think that data is protected, but it may not be, right? Because it's a public building, and so being able to find out who's swiping to get in where, right? Yeah. So all that kind of data. Yeah. So being able to use that data. Yeah, of course. Yes. So what you're asking is that if we got into is there a Handmaid's Tale scenario where even though everyone's not wearing
And I just finished listening to
costumes,
the book,
but like
The Handmaid's Tale.
where
Not a sponsor.
yeah, people's purchase history could be used as evidence towards aiding and abetting yes, an illegal
Yeah.
termination of a pregnancy. Yes. Yes, of course. Of course that will happen.
Okay. All right.
Sorry.
So moving on. I'm glad I'm through menopause, so I don't have to worry about that. And, you know, I was listening a little bit like when they weren't talking about shooting kids. There was somebody talking about like the fact that like something I talked about the last time, right? Like medical abortions that you need because your baby is dead inside you and you don't want to carry it to term because it's dead, right? Your fetus, whatever you want to call it, right? Medical abortions. And apparently that was not something that they took into account when they were making some of these rules, like in Tennessee or, you know, Kentucky. I can't remember. Like they like go figure. The white men who were in the room talking about curtailing abortion rights didn't take into account. Oh, well, what happens if like a fetus is not viable?
I think we've been through this before, and there's no that idea of taking into account or there being some sort of compromise situation. That's and I think what happened in Oklahoma is evidence of that. You're thinking about this in the wrong way.
Okay, all right. I didn't want to go there either. There was something else too. Like, do you want to say? So I like half listened. I was half asleep. I half listened to the what is that show? Now I can't remember. American Idol? No. On the Media. I half listened to On the Media. Did you listen to that yet?
No.
Because they're doing and we watched like the Adam Ruins Everything about gun control at some point, and that that kind of soured me on him a little, but it didn't. It was like, oh man, I didn't know. So what I remember is that like they were making the point that a lot more kids die just from just random gun shots than school shootings. Like it's even more horrific that, you know.
Yeah. Like handguns that aren't secured.
So we've got like
households.
this 2-week long miniseries about about kids getting shot in schools, and that's going to be over at some point.
What was upsetting for me was the guy it was PBS NewsHour, you know, who had come 65 miles to donate blood to Uvalde, is that right? And was saying, you all are going to be gone in 2 weeks. You know, these cameras are going to be gone. And I'm like trying to understand what his point is, because he, of course, unless he routinely gives blood every time there's a tragedy, he's doing the exact same thing, which is just having a momentary reaction to an event and is not actually doing any, you know, is not approaching any long-term solutions. So if we're dealing with a populace that can't even see the hypocrisy in that kind of thing, like condemning the media for being there and leaving, and then you're driving to show up and give blood, which it's notorious in that sometimes not a shooting, but like, you know, a natural disaster, right? Is that people donate huge amounts of blood around, you know, a hurricane or something like that, and then they wind up having a surplus that they can't use, and then 3 months later, the numbers of donations have gone down, and there's there's a need for blood, right? And so it's just all this kind of stuff. It's just like, ugh, I don't know where I'm going with this, but I'm just really disappointed. I'm disappointed in us.
Yeah, I
And I'm not mad at Beto O'Rourke for yelling at the governor, you know?
yeah, that was a fun moment.
And the hypocrisy of that too, the crazy guy yelling, "Don't make this political." And then my question is what is politics? You know, what is politics? Is politics, you know, so politics is a negative thing, right? We're not supposed to do that. But my understanding of politics is you're supposed to represent the interests of the people. You're supposed to represent the interests of the people. And if there's something terrible happening and it's killing people, killing children, then that is what are the other solutions? If it's not politics, what is it? And so that also, it just seems like we're infinitely broken here, and that makes me sad. And we're going to blame it on Facebook, you know, too. Also, it's like, oh, he posted on Facebook, and they keep trying to say that he posted on Facebook, and then it's like, okay, but it wasn't public, and also the Buffalo guy, right? It's like, oh, it was up on Twitch, right? Or what was it on? I can't remember where he streamed, but they got it down in 2 minutes, and it's like that sounded like a good amount of time to me, but it's like we're kind of getting away from the real problem here, which is, you know, gun violence. Guns, and then also in the Buffalo case, you know, racism, right? Just brutal racism, right? Just like right there, and it's like, okay, we can talk about Facebook, we can talk about politics, we can talk about all this stuff, but it's like, oh, there's just something basically broken right now. We're not fixing it.
There was a discussion about how long it took the armed security guard to get into the school or something like now.
The police.
Like,
now
police,
it sounds like there were a bunch of police in the building for an hour, and they're saying they thought he was barricaded in there without anyone. And so they weren't doing it. I don't know. It's all fuzzy. But so again, the problem here is that people are going to focus on police and saying, well, the police are supposed to storm that building and kill the guy and save everyone, and they're losers and failures for not doing that. And it's because you're so beholden to the idea that we need to keep the guns, and we're just not doing the solutions right, as opposed to the gun's the problem, right? So if the guy went running into the school with a knife or drove into it with a car, right? I think it would have been much easier to stop a rampage, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's frustrating. And then on top of it, blaming the teacher for propping the door open. School's supposed to be locked, but somebody left the door open.
All right.
And that's, you know what? It's like, that to me, you know, if you know about design and design flaws, so if your system requires that people don't do things that they normally do, which is like prop a door open or, prop a door open, right? It's like your whole solution is contingent on no one ever propping a door open, then there's a problem. That's a design flaw. That's not understanding users, right? And so maybe the problem is not that, oh, we need to make sure that there are no doors in buildings that can be opened, you know, and they can only be locked, or you need a swipe to get through, right? You know, again, it's not. It's excuses rather than problem solving.
I
right?
think the reason that I went from abortion to the gun thing was because I think that, like, the abortion, so the thing that scares me is just, you know, people like they're going to rely on people telling on other people who have gotten abortions, and then they're going to like put the abortion providers in jail and stuff like that, right? And that's how they're going to make sure that, you know, you're going to tell on your kid, or you're going to tell on your nephew, or your niece.
Here's the thing about a cultural change, and talking about this was about free range kids, right? And talking about how the world's changed and our culture has changed. And so talking about like when I was a kid, right? I don't remember this happening, but it probably happened because this is just normally what you do. Is like if a parent left their kid in the car in the parking lot and they went into the grocery store, um, part of the perception there is that there were people around and someone in the parking lot, if they saw like a creepy guy come up to the car and grab a kid out of it, a person, walking through the parking lot would say, "Hey, wait a minute, what are you doing there? What are you doing with that kid? Is that your kid?" The people in your community. And that was the way it always was, is like we would run around in our neighborhood and play outside. I'm that old, right? And there would be moms around, right? And people watching, but we weren't totally, under surveillance. But it was like that time that I totally creamed my face, on a falling off my bike and scraping along a gravel driveway. Woman came out of her front door because the kid who was with me left, right? Yeah. And the woman came out of her house and took care of me and called my mom, right? And it was like, oh, that's what would happen, right? That idea of community is like other people in the community are there to help you. And then just telling the story about a woman who was in a hurry. She had to run into the store. Her kid was freaking out. She left her kid in the car in the parking lot, and another woman saw that, and she spent the time. This woman was in the store. This other woman spent standing across like the parking lot, videotaping on her phone this kid in the car, right? And calling the police on this woman.
Instead of watching, yeah.
And so that's what's changed. Is where we've become a society of sort of judgy tattletales, right? Or just moralistic, sort of monitors,
not assuming the best in other people, assuming the worst.
Right, but also like policing, right? As opposed to thinking our responsibility is to judge and to condemn and to sort of rat on, I guess, or whatever. Yeah, condemn and morally shame people. Right. So, and instead of being part of a community and, helping people. Right.
Yeah. Janet asks, so what happens when someone starts shooting outdoors and people can't get back into the building?
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's always, and I always go back to this. I don't know if it has anything to do with anything, but like Kurt Vonnegut's his father, his grandfather, was one of the people who had been caught in a building during a fire, like a theater, I believe, during a fire, and people couldn't get out of the door. And so those bars that are on doors, Kurt Vonnegut, they're like Von Duprin or something like that. The Von is Vonnegut, the name of the company that had made those initial bars that you hit, you can just press against and the door opens, right? Those are there. Those exist because before, what would happen is if there was a fire and you were stuck, everyone would just pile up against the door.
You couldn't
get out, right?
Yeah, that's interesting.
And so it was like having those bars.
They're named after Kurt Vonnegut's dad?
Well, it's the company they created. It's 3 names, and one of them is Von. It's like Vonnegut, Von Duprin or something like that. Wow. But anyways, yeah, and so it's just about making excuses for a fatal flaw, right? In the design of our country, I guess.
So in our program, we talk about like teaching collaboration and stuff like that. So is that how we're going to is that how we're going to save the world?
I hope so. I mean, that's about the only way we can, right?
Yeah.
Well, no, I think the issue is that we're moving towards, we're a society that's focusing on, is highly individualistic, right? And yet we have a huge number of problems that require collaboration, collective solutions. So how do you build a highly individualistic society with people who work collectively? How do you make individuals work collectively to solve problems?
Rick,
how might we? Yeah, exactly. And to me, it's overwhelming because that is kind of how do you do that? But that's what we're going to have to figure out, or die on the hill, because basically there's really I don't think, again, I can't. As individuals, we cannot solve, issues, climate change. It's like no matter how much I recycle, I'm not going to save the world. How much I ride my bike, that's not going to be enough to fix the problem. We have to do larger scale solutions that require collective effort. And how are we going to solve all these problems? And so that's our job.
Stay tuned. Next week we'll have the answer. Next semester we'll have the answer, right?
All right.
Thank you all for listening. Did we do we did like an hour and a half, right?
Yeah, too much.
There's never too much.